Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the new Marvel Legends Falcon, part of the Joe Fixit Build-A-Figure wave. And we haven't had a ton of Falcon figures, really. We've had a few. None of them have really hit the spot from what I understand. I've seen a lot of people saying that kind of thing, and now I'm relaying it to you because that's my job. Will this one hit that spot? I think in a lot of ways it will. There are some ways which it most definitely won't, but we don't have a choice. This is what there is, so we have to review it and see if you guys want to buy it. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 16 centimeters, which makes it pretty close to, let's say, 6 3/8 inches, right around there. And a couple things stand out on this guy at first glance. But before we do that, question of the day. Which version of Falcon is your favorite as far as the suit goes? I happen to really like this one, but I do like the newer suits where there's a lot more white and black and gray as opposed to the red. I think that's a newer suit, and I'm not like the biggest Falcon fan, but I'm pretty sure that's a thing outside of MCU, not talking MCU. But I do like this one as far as the other ones go, all the ones with naked bits don't really do it for me. Or do they? Anyway, this guy has transparent wings, and I've heard a lot of people saying that they don't like that and he shouldn't have that. I've always thought that he had transparent wings a lot of the time. I mean, there's some times where it's obvious he doesn't, but there are some times where, like, it to me was very clear that he was drawn to have transparent wings. So this doesn't bother me at all, and I think it's going to look cool on a shelf. But if you don't like that, you should know they are transparent. They're not like super duper, like you could tell, but it's not terribly obvious. So if you hate it, you might be able to live with it. But you might not, so you should be aware that is the case. And I'm guessing they're going to give us a different version of him with non-transparent wings sometime in the future. I do kind of like the fact that because they're transparent, the thicker parts and the thinner parts, and then the even thinner parts are different colors, kind of. So that's kind of a cool look. All right. Okay, and then the other thing that stands out to me is his head sculpt is really nice. I like it. It's mostly well painted, and it's a good sculpt. The hairline seems to be pretty high up on the head. He's got a very square head. It's not perfect. They screwed it up because they didn't know how to handle that thing on the front, I guess. I guess that's supposed to look like a beak. I don't like it now that I realize that's supposed to be a beak. No, but they kind of squared up the top of his head, but it still looks pretty good. The face itself, though, is nice. The eyes are painted well. Eyebrows are good. I like the head sculpt. I like the fact that they nailed the red lines, except for where they didn't, because painting is hard. But they did a pretty good job with that red line. It could have been way worse. And the white is generally nice and opaque, and it has a pretty good look to it. I like that. The red parts of his suit change colors throughout. This is one color red, this is another color red, this is very shiny, this is not. This part's shiny, this part's not. Different colors throughout. Definitely distracting. It's not terrible, and a lot of people have trouble differentiating shades and tints of red anyway, so it might not be a huge problem for you guys. But I notice it, and it's my job to point those things out, so you just have to decide if that's an issue. I do want to point out, mine is just chewed to shit right here. The red paint that's on there just doesn't exist. It's a mess. Hopefully yours don't look like that. We do have the pegless or pinless joints in the arms. If you like that, good. If you don't, you won't notice it either way because it's a very tiny feature, which technically is good, yes. I still don't understand why it's such a big deal. I mean, we've had pegs and joints for ages, and as long as they're handled well, nobody really ever cared. This is nicer. Is it worth the budget? It's still up in the air as far as I'm concerned. Okay, and then the last thing to talk about for this guy is the overall sculpt. While the individual groups on this figure look pretty good, muscle groups and proportions and things, they're pretty good overall. He's very, very skinny. And Falcon is a fairly trim guy, kind of like the Flash, but this is really, like, almost nobody is ever drawn in comics to be this skinny unless they're Spider-Man. His legs are so thin. And front to back, he has no meat at all. He's meatless. He's giant. The feet look even bigger because of how skinny his legs are. Like, the shape of the legs isn't bad. Down here we have good calf shape or shin bone shape, and technically the muscle groups are all right, but if they just pop that out a little bit, give him some thighs, give him some front to back in the chest, and these figures would look so much better. But for Marvel Legends, it still looks pretty good. So, and they gave him bigger shoulders that aren't super low, so it does help. And he would need to have bigger shoulders anyway, so that's good. So all in all, it's a pretty good looking figure, I'd say, despite the flaws. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. The flaws don't really take away too much, but they are there. Now, as far as accessories go, you can count the wings if you want. They are removable, but It's Falcon, so you should probably leave him on. We do have the 2 fist hands that come on him in the package, and then 2 karate chop hands, which is what his signature move is known to be. And that's it for accessories. No flight stand, even though he's Falcon, and just a couple of karate chop hands. So 5 out of 10 is super generous for this, but I don't know if you really need it much else for Falcon, honestly speaking. Other than a flight stand, we really should get something to get him off the ground, even if it's just a basic peg in the ass to hold him up. That sounded way worse than I meant. Or did it? Alright, so on to the articulation. We have a hinge and a ball peg for the neck. Looks down, looks up, really nice. Full rotation. There's no big gap, so that's a good thing. You get a little attitude. I like it. Butterfly joint on this guy works really nicely going back. Doesn't really go too far forward, but it does technically work. And since it's a very narrow build front to back, it's not a terribly ugly butterfly joint. I know a lot of people love them, some people hate them. This is one of the better examples of them, though it really, I don't know. I guess on Falcon it's a lot more useful because of the flapping of the wings. He doesn't really flap his wings though, does he? I don't think he does. So is it necessary? I don't know. I think Spider-Man's probably the best use for these, or maybe like Black Panther, somebody really acrobatic. Anyway, they work well on this guy. We don't need to argue about it. Or you guys could argue about it in the comment section below. That's fine with me. Shoulder rotates just fine. How does it go out to the side? It better work because he needs to fly. Let's see. Takes a little bit of force. Oh goodness, that's as far as they go. I mean, you're not going to do it that way, but you could. So you probably would do it this way, and it'll work. All right, so the shoulders are big, and they have to account for that. They're not used to it because they're used to giving people tiny little girly shoulders, but it works out well enough, so that's all right. Bicep swivel does work. That is fine. Double jointed elbows. Golly, is he glossy on that bicep. What did they make him out of? Jolly Ranchers? Goodness. I can't get that upper. There we go. Perfectly good range out of that elbow. Very nice. All right, no problems there. And then for the wrist, we have a swivel and a hinge. I don't really need to show you that, but it's there. All right, ab crunch on this guy. Still looks pregnant when he bends back. Definitely not the best looking ab crunch we've ever seen, but you get a decent enough range. Going forward, it works just fine. Waist twist is twisty. The hips, God, these wings are just getting in the way. All right, the hips go really far out to the side. I think that's usually how he's flying around anyway, doing full-on splits, so that's good. People still ask me, why do I talk about him doing splits? It's not because they need to do splits, it's because it shows the range of motion, and the split motion can be used for kicks and all kinds of things. That's all. If you want to do splits, you can. I didn't say you should. All right, the legs can go pretty far forward, though they do kick out to the side a little bit. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knee is fine. Boot swivel is nicely sculpted, so if you don't like it, don't use it. It won't look too bad other than the black line there. Sculpt is clean, though. It does rotate, to be sure. Ankles go all the way back. The feet are kind of goofily big because he's wearing boots. And everything else is non-boot-like on him. Does he wear boots in the comics? I never really paid attention. He's got like heavy-soled boots on. It's weird, but good range all the way around. So articulation on this guy's pretty solid. I'll give it an 8. For Marvel Legends, an 8 is pretty good rating. I would say if his ab crunch didn't make him look pregnant, we'd get a little bit of a higher rating out of that. But it's pretty solid. So yeah, okay, final verdict on this guy. Best Falcon figure to date? Maybe, if you like this particular look for him and don't mind the transparent wings, I'd say it's a contender for sure. I like it. I guess if I had to pick one, I'd pick this one. Yeah, it's pretty good. Final verdict on this guy is gonna be 8 out of 10. Definitely has some flaws. Some of them will vary depending on your luck, like the paint job on mine being all jacked up. Yours probably won't have that, but it could. So be aware if you're shopping in store, take a look before you buy. If you're shopping online, cross your fingers. All right, so there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Don't rate the videos based on the figures. Some people still do that. That's not how that's meant to work. It doesn't technically hurt me as far as YouTube is concerned. They don't care if you're giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but it does hurt my feelings. So rate the videos based on the videos, not the figures, please. And you might want to come back, subscribe and come back, because I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So like I said, come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.